Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and check this out. This is talking about the gold rush. Gold rush investor became the richest man in California, but never mind a day in his life. It's an interesting video, and they're featuring Cerebras Systems, and this is from Link2, who is one of my sponsors. Some of these AI companies are very interesting, and this is a very interesting video. I'm not going to play it because I don't know if there's copyrighted stuff all in there, but go watch this one at Link2 Inc. at their handle. Go check that out. And if you're interested in AI, go to the top of the description of this video. Link2 has at least 3 or 4 companies that are AI. Now watch this. This is the CEO of BitGo. Watch this.
Do you share that view? Do you see Bitcoin as the superior cryptocurrency?
Look, I do see Bitcoin as superior, but not at the exclusion of any future innovation. Like at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're trying to create a form of money, which is a tool, which is better than the forms of money we've had before. And do you really believe that there's never going to be a better form of money?
Bingo.
Ever? Well, what if you had something that was exactly like Bitcoin, had all the properties of Bitcoin, but had privacy as well? Privacy is a problem for Bitcoin, right? Could we have that? I think we could. What if you didn't have scalability?
What about Monero? What is that one? The privacy calling? Sure, but it's missing some of the Bitcoin elements.
Look, I don't want to get into like a nitpick about what is Monero or what's not. My point is, innovation happens. And the idea that the first version of a piece of software is the last version of a piece of software, when is it that you wanted to buy version 1.0 and never get an upgrade? So,
bingo.
Look, some people might hear this and say, oh, he wants to change Bitcoin. Come on, no. That's not what I'm talking about. Bitcoin is fantastic. It's clearly head and shoulders above what pretty much any of the other blockchains are in terms of its offering around value, store value and whatnot. But I think that we should
it's not.
Hope that actually we will come up with even better systems in the future and we will like them even more. And it's not going to...
Look, Mike, check it out. It was already done. It was done way back in 2012, 13 by a little company called OpenCoin, which became Ripple, and it's called XRP. Dirty little secret. Goldman JPM trading desk warns selling starting to turn disorderly, folks. When the markets get really nasty, they're fine, and then all of a sudden they're not. Boy, when I was during the financial crisis, watching CNBC was like watching a fireworks show every day. It was like the end of the world was coming every day. Now, check this out. This is the first I've heard of somebody say that they actually think that Congress is going to pass comprehensive crypto legislation this fall.
What is this list on the ranking of priorities? How likely are we actually to see the House move forward on crypto legislation?
Good to be here, Kaylee. I am confident we're going to see the House move forward and pass comprehensive crypto market structure legislation this fall on the full House floor. Now, admittedly, as you note, it may happen later in the fall because, it is the case that when there's a government funding fight, that takes precedence over everything else. This one could extend for a little while. But after that, I actually think it's a great opportunity for Congress to come together and pass something that both Democrats and Republicans in the House can support.
Okay. Then we've got this. Congress, it makes me sick to think that Congress has to beg this guy to do anything. They ought to kick his butt out of there. Bipartisan group of House lawmakers told SEC Chair Gary Gensler to reverse the agency's rejections of spot Bitcoin ETFs. The members of Congress, including GOP Majority Whip, said the SEC needs to defer to the courts. Please, Gary, we're going to write you another letter if you don't stop. Then this is another clip from that Twitter Spaces that had John Deaton on. This is the same one where they canceled John Deaton and turned him off once he brought up This is from Edo Farina. Listen to this clip.
Looks multiple years in prison unless you do what we want, give us what we want. So that alone, and then when you look at the names, and I respect Rand for not giving names. I asked Caitlin Long when I had her on Crypto Law TV last week. I brought it up to her and said, "Were you aware that your name was mentioned?" And she was like, "I learned about it, and it was surprising and shocking." And so some of those names are people who are stewards.
Big names.
Right.
Big
names. But you wouldn't question their credibility. You wouldn't question anything about them. They have the best reputations, a Caitlin Long, a Naomi Brockwell, and others. And so, that is what is the most surprising, and so, that it just seems like there is something up. The other thing I would add is that all of this was put in an affidavit by an attorney. So what that means is that, this attorney at least believes what Steve's saying, and then swore in this declaration to the court that, and
that was the turning point for me, John. That was the turning point for me because, Stephen.
I think this was where somewhere where they cut him off. Now, Ripple taps former Obama White House official to head U.S. public policy. Lauren believe served as White House legislative affairs under Obama. My role will be to lead our engagement in Washington and nationally, ensuring that we are not only part of the conversation, but driving it forward with clarity and purpose. With regulatory landscapes evolving, it's paramount that we advocate for policies that not only support the crypto industry, but also the countless individuals and businesses that could benefit from these advancements. All right. I don't think I'm going to play this, but this is a new Coinbase commercial, which I thought was pretty good. They actually have a one of those Wells Fargo type trucks driving through the streets, but instead of carrying money on the truck, you'll see the back of it in a minute. The truck stuck, says money shouldn't have a, what, I missed it. There it is. It's time to update the system. Money shouldn't have a speed limit. I think that's what it says. All right. Now to the good stuff. Steven Narioff is back at it. Look at what he says here. There's a lot. This guy says there's a lot of wait untils. Bro, we've been waiting for years. If you have dirt, release it. And Steven Narioff puts this bombshell out. Check. Boy, that is a bombshell right there, folks. That's a bombshell. After what they put us through, I share your frustrations. We are conspiracy theorists, betrayed, and they're prisoners. Me, literally, for 4 years. I have legal constraints on timing. But here you go, in pertinent part. Crypto Judas and Crooked Elbow Joe say I wasn't essential and don't have receipts. From Joseph Lubin, he's giving you a copy of an email that he's got. From Joseph Lubin, date July 21st, 2014. To Steven Narioff, CC, Fry, Bertrand, Vitalik Buterin, Jeffrey Alberts, Steven Narioff. Yes, brilliant work. This is from Joseph Lubin. Yes, brilliant work. Let's hope nobody ever sees it. Sorry, Joe. And then it says, yes, thank you, Bert and Jeff. Great job all the way around on July 21st, 2014. Joseph Lubin. Thank you, Bert. Fry, Bertrand, we're putting the opinion letter on the letterhead to forward to you. And Stephen includes this. I fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with a terrible resolve. That is Yamamoto. And you have to wonder if he's sending some message about knowing who Satoshi Nakamoto is with that. Yamamoto, that was the Japanese, what would you call him, a general? After they did Pearl Harbor, that was his quote. Then he says, this is the letter in Crooked Elbow Joe's pocket he's been bragging about for years. And then we've got this. This, if you remember, we uncovered this when we were uncovering ETHgate way back in the day. Here's Joe Lubin referring to the letter in his pocket.
We were going to token launch it the Tuesday after the event, and some of us realized that we didn't have a secure cold storage hot wallet system, and we didn't really have a website where we're just going to publish an address, and all these people were dropping by the house. It was like 20 or 30 people there at a time, and about 10 people were actually staying there, and they were Bitcoin nouveau riche, and they were going to drop lots of money on the Ethereum project, lots of Bitcoin on the Ethereum project, and everybody knew that Bitcoin was going to go straight to $10,000 a few weeks or months later. And so which islands were we going to buy, and what were we going to do with these hundreds of millions of dollars that people were going to drop on us? So we took a little time to explore those issues, and also the main issue, which we realized was, would we be selling unregistered securities to Americans? And so we took a little pause. It was a 7-month pause. I drove lots of the legal work. We got a piece of paper in our pocket before we actually launched the token sale, and somewhere between that January 2014 and the launch of the token sale about 8 months later, we established here. So we established here because we were very concerned about what Americans were thinking about this technology. So the cryptocurrency space is actually a few decades old. The decentralized cryptocurrency space it only dates back to Bitcoin, but there were other attempts, and they didn't end well for some of those people, and there were much more intentionally illegal things that didn't end well for other people. But we were worried that we might get lumped in with that. So we're not enthused about establishing in the United States.
All right, then check this out. Now let's go back and recap. Look, the guy that's copied on this is Jeffrey Alberts. And Mr. Huber, as he does, look what he says here. Jeffrey Alberts, who put a paper in Lubin's pocket, worked with Mark Berger, who charged Ripple, and now works with Bill Hinman at the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office Securities and Commodities Fraud Task Force. They even worked together on the same famous Bitcoin fraud cases. Jeffrey Alberts of Prior Cashman is the one that wrote the letter. Then, here he is, and then right here. My question is, did he work with Katie Haun? That's what I'm wondering when I see this. As a federal prosecutor, and then I wonder if he worked hand in hand with Katie Haun too. We need to look that one up, Mr. Huber. Now, John Deaton comments on this little comment by Stephen Narioff.
There is an email that just went out, not an email, but a tweet that just went out by Steve Narioff, okay? And I want you to read what it says, all right? Remember that piece of paper that Joe Lubin talked about? And he said, before the ETH ICO, I had a piece of paper in my pocket, right? Well, there it is. Look at the date, people. Guess who got that piece of paper in Joe Lubin's pocket? That's right, Steve Narioff, all right? So that's extremely significant. And I want you to just think about that for a minute. That's extremely significant. And so that's why I was excited about it. And, you know, I apologize if other people kept hyping it up to the point where, short of me announcing that the case was settled or that XRP was going to $2 or something, that it was going to disappoint people. But we are getting closer to the truth. And I think it is significant. And I think it is big news, because at the end of the day, how long has people been fighting for this, right? We just want transparency, and we're getting closer.
We're getting closer. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Tell your friends and family we're getting closer. Thanks for listening.